Brilliance Audio presents Severed Souls by Terry Goodkind, performed by Sam Chuchivas. Bring us our dead. At the same time as he heard the voice, Richard felt the touch of an icy hand on the back of his shoulder. He drew his sword as he spun. As it cleared its scabbard, the blade sent its distinctive ring of steel through the hushed pre-dawn air. The power contained within the weapon answered the call, inundating him with rage in preparation for a fight. Standing in the darkness right behind where he had been on watch were 3 men and 2 women. The dying campfire burning in the distance off behind him cast the faintest flicker of reddish light across the 5 stony faces. The gaunt figures stood passively, shoulders slumped, arms hanging limp at their sides. Besides the hint of impending rain, the air carried the smell of wood smoke from the fire back at camp, the scent of balsam trees and cinnamon ferns growing nearby, their horses, and the musty smell of the damp leaf litter matting the ground. But Richard thought he also detected a trace of sulfur. Even though none of the 5 looked or acted threatening, having the crackling power from the ancient weapon he held in his fist thundering through him, had his heart hammering. Their passive poses did nothing to ease his sense of threat, or his readiness to fight, should they make a sudden move to attack. What concerned Richard more than anything, though, was that he had been watching and listening for any sound or movement in the pre-dawn stillness. That was the whole point of standing watch. And he hadn't heard or seen the 5 come up behind him. In such a dense, uninhabited woods, it was unimaginable to him that not one of them had made a sound by stepping on a twig or crunching any of the dry leaves and bark scattered about on the ground. Richard was more than used to being in the woods, and it was virtually impossible for so much as a squirrel to sneak up on him, much less 5 people. When he had been a woods guide, he had played the game of sneak-up with other guides. He was well practiced at it, and it had developed in him a kind of 6th sense for any living thing near him. People rarely, if ever, successfully snuck up on Richard. Yet these 5 had. The trackless wasteland of the dark lands seldom saw travelers. It was far too dangerous a place to take any chances. Any traveler would know that, and not tempt trouble by sneaking up on a camp. Richard was but one wrong word or sudden move away from unleashing his restraint. In his mind, the deed was already done, every move calculated and decided. If they did anything wrong, he would not hesitate to defend himself and those in camp behind him. "Who are you?" he asked. "What do you want?" "We have come to be with our dead," one of the 2 women said in the same sort of emotionless voice as the man who had spoken first. The gazes of all 5 seemed to be staring through him. "Bring them to us," the second woman said in the same disembodied tone. Like the others, she looked to be little more than skin and bones. "What are you talking about?" Richard asked. "Bring us our dead," one of the other men repeated. "What dead?" Richard asked. "Our dead," a different man said in a voice equally devoid of emotion. The circular answers were getting him nowhere. Back in the camp behind him, Richard could hear a soft, calculated commotion as soldiers of the first file, awakened by the sound of his sword being drawn, threw off their blankets and sprang to their feet. He knew that they would be snatching up swords, lances, and axes at the ready near where they had been sleeping. These were men who were always prepared for trouble.